Fullmetal Alchemist, the sacred star of Milos, Hagei no Renkin Jutsushi, Morosuno Seineru Hoshi, is a 2011 Japanese animated film based on the Fullmetal Alchemist franchise. The film was first announced after the airing of the final episode of Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood. Japanese premiere was on July 2, 2011. Funimation Entertainment has licensed the film and released it in the United States in 2012. The film was distributed by 11 Arts for North America, showing at more than 100 theaters. In the UK, Manga Entertainment screened the film at BFI Southbank on the 8th of June 2012, followed by a home video release on September 3, 2012. Plot: the movie begins with a young girl, Julia Crichton, waking up from a dream about the day her family was forcibly taken from her home by soldiers beside her older brother Ashley, who is currently studying their parents' alchemy books. Ashley then shows his sister some pages, and explains that with the alchemy in the book, he hopes to make a world that no one's seen before. Soon after discovering two strange rubbed-out pages, the siblings hear some strange noises and Ashley goes ahead to investigate, but a worried Julia follows to a room, where she finds the bodies of her parents hung up and dripping blood. She watches in horror as her brother is attacked, and presumably murdered, to which she faints. Years later, a criminal breaks free from prison in a mistress, and the Elric brothers Edward and Alphonse join the effort to recapture him. The duo confronts the escapee, who proves himself a dangerous opponent able to create ice and lightning from the alchemy circles drawn in blood on the palms on his hands. Despite the Elric's efforts to capture the criminal, he ends up escaping, and after some investigation with Edward's superior Roy Mustang and his assistant Riza Hawkey, they learn that the fugitive Melvin Voyager escaped despite him being weeks away from being released from jail. Among his belongings, they find a newspaper page with a piece cut off, and comparing with an intact copy of the same page, they find that the missing piece is a photo of a young woman named Julia Crichton, who was arrested while entering illegally in the remote Table City, set in the border between Amestris and Creta. Intrigued by the alchemy used by the criminal and his connection with Julia, the Elrics board a train to Table City to investigate further, but the train is attacked by an unknown individual who transforms into a wolf chimera and takes control of the locomotive. While trying to retake the train's control from the wolf chimera, flying soldiers called the Black Bats attack the train, attempting to rescue what they thought were ordinary citizens, but they fall back after finding out the prisoners were Cretan spies. Meanwhile, Melvin found his opportunity and escaped, followed after by the Elric brothers. Ed and Al arrive at a prison, where Melvin destroyed the prison walls to find Julia Crichton, the fugitive in the papers. Voyager attempts to retrieve Julia, which is interrupted by Miranda, the leader of the Black Bats, who retrieves her and gets her to safety. Ed then challenges Voyager, while Alphonse goes to save Julia. She and him fall into a village in a vast chasm, the valley, that surrounds Table City, where Voyager follows and reveals his true identity as Julia's brother, Ashley Crichton. While attempting to rescue his brother, Ed then ventures down to the valley in search of Al, where he learns that Table City was originally the Hill of Milos, until Creta and Amestris tore it apart in search of the mysterious object. Inside the Black Bat's secret base, Julia and Alphonse develop a friendship, while Julia learns about Al and Ed's tragic past of human transmutation. Later, when Ed meets up with Al in the Black Bat's base, they find themselves hunted down by wolf chimeras from the Cretan secret police, prompting them to retreat further. They and the Elrics arrive in a room with maps and locations of Table City, where Miranda explains to the Elrics their mission, to reclaim Milos by using the Sanguine Star, to control a powerful heat source called magma. Miranda also explained that the Sanguine Star was a red glowing stone of power. Shocked by the description, the Elrics reveal a secondary name the Starhood, and that name was the Philosopher's Stone, a name given to a stone of great power, but was made from the blood and life force of a large number of human lives. Wanting to avoid a bloody war, Ed and Al return to Table City in an attempt to find the stone and destroy it. Later on, past midnight, the Black Bats, led by Miranda, begin their assault, searching for the Sanguine Star. Miranda, Ashley, and Julia then venture to the main tower, where, suddenly, Ashley fatally injures Miranda, and explains to Julia that the use of Miranda's blood activates a three-dimensional transmutation circle drawn in blood, to create the Sanguine Star. Julia then realizes that he is an imposter, Security Chief Atlas, who was enveloped by alchemy's potential of creation and power, and killed Julia's parents for it, and tore off the real Ashley's face and the skin from his lower left side to deceive Julia, and create the star. Ed and Al arrive to rescue Julia and confront Atlas, who escapes to the location of the star. As Ed, Al, and Julia chased after Atlas, a Cretan-powered plant explodes, pouring out a massive amount of lava towards the valley. Al goes to help save the valley, while Ed and Julia go after Atlas. Atlas nearly attempts to retrieve the star, only to be confronted by Ed and Julia, resulting in a minute-long fight. Julia then retrieves the star, and decides to use it through saving the valley. Meanwhile, Alphonse's attempt to stop the lava are futile, until Julia arrives to help him stop the lava. Atlas arrives to take back the sacred star, only to be confronted by Colonel Herschel, who reveals himself to be Ashley Crichton. Angered by his and Julia's parents' murder and Ashley's mutilation, Ashley kills Atlas with Ashley's alchemy, causing Atlas's head to explode. Julia wanted to know if what Ashley said was true, that he really was her brother. Ashley confirmed that he was. He also apologized to Julia for leaving her alone for so long, and in order to keep her safe from Atlas, Ashley created Wolf Chimerus in the Cretan army to protect her. Now that his sister was safe, Ashley begged Julia to leave Milos, and go back to Creta with him, so they could still make a world that no one had ever seen before, but Julia loved their birthplace and her friends, so she refused. Thus Ashley became angry and heartbroken, and attacked her, and Alphonse with his alchemy, but Ed and Mustang arrived to aid Julia against Ashley. Ed confronted Ashley in an explosive sword fight, but Ashley was too much for him, so Julia stepped in, and fought back with her alchemy. Ashley was overwhelmed by Julia's power, and lost his left arm, but as he fell, Julia noticed he was wearing a necklace, and at the end of it was the earring she gave him. Unable to hate her brother, Julia caught Ashley with a large amount of snow. She then worked with the Elrics, and created a massive gathering of hands from Table City, to stop the flow of magma, and save Death Canyon. Julia then turned to her brother, who was already bleeding to death, so to save his life, she opened the Gate of Truth through the Sacred Star's power, and pulled him back. Alphonse and Edward noticed that Julia was missing one of her legs, but the exchange seemed worth it as Ashley was alive and his face was fully restored. The next morning, Ashley woke up in a hospital bed alongside Julia. He then found his face restored completely, and after noticing his sister resting in bed, he gently rubbed Julia's cheek. Julia then woke up, and found out that her left leg was gone completely, and Vatanen reported to her about Ashley, who had just left with one of the earrings he recreated. Vatanen also explained that Alphonse brought Julia's earrings to her, prompting her to want to see him. Outside Table City, Ed and Al marveled at the new bridge they made. And to their surprise, Julia came walking towards them with an automail leg. The three exchanged conversations about how Amestris and Creta will be retreating for now, and how a war will be coming. Julia knows this, but she smiles confidently about how she and Milos will work together in triumph. Before he left, Edward confesses that Julia was indeed reckless, but she was still heroic in her actions. Ed then pushed Al towards Julia, giving him some time alone. Al then commented on how different Julia looked. Julia believed that he was talking about a new leg, which she said will take her some time to get used to. However, Alphonse actually meant to compliment her on her beauty, to which Julia smiled, and said she'll wait for him to come back, when he and Ed find a way to restore their bodies. As Al and Julia parted ways, elsewhere, Ashley donned his Cretan uniform and mask and headed back to Creta. New characters. Julia Crichton. She comes from a family of alchemists from Creta, a country on the western border of Amestris, and uses a form of alchemy the Elric brothers are unfamiliar with, allowing her to heal injuries. She was taken in as a child by the residents of Milos, a slum located at the bottom of the trench separating Amestris and Creta, and occupied by Cretan survivors of the skirmish between countries. After her parents were branded as traitors of her country and killed, her brother Ashley disappearing. As a member of Milis's resistance against the Amestrian-occupied Table City, she believes the only way to achieve victory is by harnessing the power of the Philosopher's Stone, which she uses to protect Milis from Atlas, a villain posing as her missing brother, and later from her own power-mad brother himself. She uses the rest of the stone's power to save her brother from death by opening the gate of truth at the cost of her left leg. Melvin Voyager, an escaped alchemist who claims to be Julia's long-lost brother Ashley. He uses the same form of alchemy Julia practices, which he uses to crystallize water into snow. He is revealed later in the film to be an imposter named Atlas, a Taurusu, a former guard of the Crichton family, who murdered the real Ashley's parents, and disguised himself as Ashley by grafting his face onto his own. He serves as the film's primary antagonist, using Julia to help create a Philosopher's Stone, so he can keep it for himself. He is killed at the film's climax by the real Ashley. Herschel, the commanding officer of the Cretan army stationed at the border between Table City and Milis. He wears a white mask that conceals his disfigured face. He is revealed at the climax of the film to be the real Ashley Crichton, Asher Kilraton, Julia's long-lost older brother, who survived being attacked by Atlas using a Philosopher's Stone kept by his parents. He commands Wolf Chimerus to search for Julia, and kills Atlas out of revenge for their, Ashley and Julia's, parents' murder. However, he also tries to destroy Milis out of bitterness for the city's betrayal of his family, which brings him into conflict with Julia. After he is defeated, Julia saves his life and heals his face by opening the Gate of Truth. After recovering, he leaves the newly established nation of Milis to return to Creta. Miranda, a commander of the Black Bats, the rebel faction from Milis that aims to reclaim Table City from its Amestrian occupants. She is killed by Atlas, who uses her blood to help activate the transmutation circle beneath Table City designed to create the Philosopher's Stone. Development. The idea to create a Fullmetal Alchemist movie set during the second anime's storyline came from the series' producers. The movie's original plot was written by Yuichi Shinbo, who also came up with the new characters' names. From there, director Kazuo Murata did research on Spain to develop Table City, intended as a contrast to Amestris, which was based on England. Because it was the only time in the series that the main characters traveled to another country, Murata had difficulties concluding it, wondering if it would have an impact on the canonical storyline. Therefore, the story was set during the time Edward realized Alphonse's human body existed somewhere, with the logic that knowledge would encourage him to travel to another area to do research. Hiromu Erikawa was not included as part of the staff, but was still looking forward to the film. The official theme song for the movie is Good Luck My Way by Lark and Shiel, which plays over the film's ending credits. The song is the band's fourth contribution to the franchise. On May 30, 2011, singer-songwriter Miwa confirmed that she would sing for the opening credits theme, titled Chasing Hearts. Reception. The film debuted in North America at the 2011 Anime Convention Otakon held at the Baltimore Convention Center on July 30. Funimation in coordination with Aniplex were credited with subtitling the movie, and premiering at the United States only 4 weeks after its theatrical release in Japan. The former kicked holding the license for the movie, which saw a limited theatrical release dubbed in English in early 2012, and is slated for a DVD and Blu-ray release in the spring. The film won 3 awards at the Burbank International Film Festival, which hosted the West Coast premiere of the film. It won awards for each of the 3 categories it was nominated in. Reception from American critics has been generally positive. Based on 11 reviews, the film received a score of 85% and an average rating of 6.6 out of 10 on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. It also received a weighted average rating of 54 out of 100 at Metacritic, based on 7 mainstream reviews, denoting mixed or average reviews, denoting mixed or average reviews.